Okay, everybody, we've started the live stream. The show doesn't start till 8, but you'll be able to see what we do kind of before we start the show. So Geezer and I are going to be busy here setting things up, and we will start at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Meanwhile, you can enjoy what's going on in the studio.
It should be interesting.
Yeah.
Anything need to be adjusted or anything?
No, I think everything's
All
good.
right.
You might test it, Mike.
Test 1 2 1
There you
2.
go. It's working. And
Make sure I look pretty.
there we go. We're going to be doing some testing here. And if you're on the live stream on the YouTube channel, you can do a chat. You can
Call in and ask a
I
question.
can see a guy there. It said it looked like a couple of bikers. That's Ironhead.
Call in and
Thank
ask
you,
a
sir.
question. We won't have any answers, but
No, we only have room for one call tonight. We're working on that though, where we can accept calls during the program. So we are working on that. That will happen here as soon as we get it worked out. But we're working on it. Understand that.
what's your mouse? You better knock your mouse off.
No. How was your ride over?
Good.
Good.
Good. Nobody tried to run over me? Didn't get profiled?
I'm still dealing with allergy issues. There's a town here south of us called Cedar Hill, Texas. And it's called Cedar Hill for a reason. It's all the cedar trees that are out there, and the wind is blowing from the south. So
Which it'll do for the next month or so.
yeah. Oh, and the title of tonight's show is Waco to Hell and Back. It's kind of fitting for everything that happened to us along the way, and happened to the bikers, all the guys that were arrested, innocent bikers that had been going through hell for 3 to almost 4 years.
More them than us.
Yeah. But we'll be talking about that when we bring Mel online, OG online here in a few minutes. And usually we spend this time kind of getting our thoughts together and testing equipment and stuff like that. We are on the backup computer, by the way. I did get that worked out with the warranty people finally this morning. And so it'll be, our main computer will be sent out probably tomorrow.
Have to go to Indonesia.
I don't know where it has to go to. I think the guy I was talking to this morning was from Florida.
Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. But he was a good guy. He was sharp. He knew what he was doing. And we weren't too long into it and said, well, we're going to need to see that one. Because we haven't had it online 3 months. And that's what I was kind of ranting about the other day. I've never had any luck when I buy a warranty. If this works out, it'll be one of the first ones. Quick trip.
I don't have any notes tonight, so I'll be speaking less
Hey,
than what I usually do.
you know what? That's fine, Geezer. We'll let Mel roll with it because Mel is the he's a former corporate CEO. He's a eloquent speaker. Unlike me, I can destroy the English language really quick.
We need cartoons or something.
Yeah, we can. Well, you know, we could when we tape the show, we can add some cartoons in. That's for sure.
Yeah, do like the movies, have a cartoon.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Sasquatch.
Yeah. Let me see what we got going on here. What's up, guys? Well, not too much today. That's for sure. Busy, like I said, trying to get this our main computer out to the shop. Making sure the backup is working. It seems to be working pretty good right now. We'll see if this lasts through the whole show. I think it will. It's been acting okay. This computer that's running right now is about 5 years old, and it has a lot of stuff on it. I mean, a lot. But it doesn't have as much as my Sony camcorder does, which has 450 videos on it, and some of them are an hour long. Absolutely incredible. I don't know when that hard drive on that camcorder fills up, but it hasn't yet. It hasn't yet. But we did go to Ellis County yesterday, seeking to be profiled, and Geezer's got a theory. Geezer, you want to talk about that? Pull that mic up there.
Yeah, I believe they're leaving us alone because they know Popeye and they don't want all that crap on YouTube after we get profiled. So when they see us, they just give us a wide berth.
He thinks they're avoiding us. I don't know about that, but we'll surely put that theory to the test as we continue to go to these places that say they don't want us. And yeah, that's going to happen. Anytime we've got a town around here that is profiling, is asking stupid questions of bikers, and really, if you saw the Garland video, you understand what we're talking about, because that gang unit officer didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He don't know one club from the other. And what they're busy doing is just taking shots in the dark. And it's like the governor said, like, get everybody in my damn database. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I got to do a few things here. You guys, if you would, Jim, share this link to Facebook, Sons of Liberty Riders MC, and to All for One. And all you guys that are on the All for One Facebook page, don't go away. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Just because the trials, there's going to be no more trials, we're not done. And we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Okay, we're going to get ready here. And there we go. And I'm going to bring Well, I think I'm going to do it. Hang on, bear with me, guys. Here we go. One ringy dingy.
Hello.
Hey, Mel, how are you doing?
Oh, yes. What time is it?
That's Geezer's.
Oh,
That's Geezer's phone.
2 minutes to go. Okay, I'll get right upstairs.
Okay, get upstairs.
All right.
We got time. We're
All right.
matter of fact is don't say anything you shouldn't say because we are live streaming right now.
Oh, okay.
Get upstairs. And I will say one thing, everybody. The sunglasses are needed. It's bright here in studio. And, yeah, for you guys that's had cataract surgery or anything like that, you all of a sudden learn that there's new colors out there and the lights are brighter.
And you can actually see.
That's right. I can actually read now without glasses, without without having to wear glasses underneath my helmet when I do wear it. I wear it more than Geezer does.
Well, I have to wear glasses to read, but I can actually see what's going on around me now. I thought there was a hell of a lot more beautiful women in the world than there is.
Yeah. Mel's going upstairs in the mansion.
Takes a while.
Yeah.
Is he lighting his pipe?
I'm surprised you don't have an elevator in that thing. Actually, Mel O.G. Robbins lives pretty close to our Texas Attorney General.
I am wired up.
Okay, they share the same neighborhood, the same gated community, where they have air conditioned and heated dog houses. Oh yeah. It's absolutely incredible. We love it when we go over there and we just rack the pipes up and raise hell there in the neighborhood. But Mel, I did ask everybody if they could to go to Facebook and share the live stream link, and it would save me from having to to do that if they could. Texas Biker, what are you seeing, Geezer?
Right there, in stream.
No, you don't want to end that.
Oh, okay.
That stops the damn thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it had ended.
I'm glad I don't. Geezer doesn't have the controls. All right, Mel. It's now 8:01. You ready to go?
I am ready.
Everybody in our audience. Good evening, Texas bikers and bikers all across the nation. This is Texas Biker Radio number 337, and the title of tonight's show is Waco to Hell and Back, because that's certainly what it's been for all the bikers, the innocent bikers that were arrested at Twin Peaks. And tonight we're gonna reminisce a little bit of about what's happened over the last 3 to 4 years. How we got involved, and the things that went on. We'll cover as much of it as we can in our allotted time, and we'll probably run a little bit over. but OG,
Yes, sir.
Where should we start? When we were in a COCI meeting,
I remember it well.
May 15th, 2017. And Actually, we had been asked to go down to that Region 1 meeting, but we already had commitments there in Region 2. And the news of the day, Mel, was the motorcycle safety funding bill. I think it was 754, if I remember right. And
yeah, we just made a major breakthrough on that one.
yeah, that bill had gone out of committee and was going to the floor, the House floor, to be voted on, and eventually that bill would have been signed by the governor. It was great news. It was great news, but it didn't take long for everybody to start getting phone calls, and we found out what happened at Twin Peaks. And Mel, it's my opinion that everybody was just shocked because
Speechless.
yeah, because a COCI meeting is sacred ground. Everybody leaves your problems that you have with each other. That goes to the side. And it's it was crazy because you're sitting there and you're grasping for each bit of news that came in. You just couldn't believe what had happened at a COCI meeting, which is nothing but a political meeting. And so as we got into it, and as the news started pouring in, and then we started hearing what was being said, and what was being the lies, the innuendos, the stuff that was coming out of Sergeant Swanton's mouth, and the DPS and their false reports and everything else that was going on, Mel. I mean, we sat there, and because we knew many of these people, because we had worked in the state legislature with them, we said, hell, these people are lying. And when we saw the way the bikers were being treated, and the fact that people were allowed to bleed out, were not being they weren't getting the care that they needed. And Mel, the law enforcement there had a field day of smart ass remarks and carrying on with them. Absolutely incredible, Mel. Absolutely. You'll just make a few comments right here.
Oh yeah, let me tell you how bad it was relative to what law enforcement was saying and what the media coverage was. By the time I left downtown Dallas, which we were in Dallas that day for a COC meeting, or were we at Diamond Jim's? I can't remember now. I think it was Diamond Jim's we were at.
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
By the time I got home, which would have been about an hour after we left there, I was attacked by my family wanting to know if I had just come back from Waco, and I said, no, haven't been there. And they said, good choice. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? They said, well, there's all kinds of biker gangs down there having a shootout. I mean, this is the way it was portrayed to the public, and this is the way it was immediately bought into. Everybody was looking at bikers like they were just total villains, gangs, thugs, you name it. And that even went so far as to, I remember when we ran, it was wave 2 or wave 3, because we used to leave from American Motorcycle Trading there in Arlington, and Channel 11 was there.
Yep.
Out of Dallas. And I was talking to the guy. He had just interviewed me, and I was talking to him off camera after. And he said, when this thing first happened, we bought into the rhetoric. But We've listened to what you guys have had to say. We've watched what's going on, and now we're starting to ask questions. So that was the deal. That's what we had to do. We had to turn the tide.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my first comment, was the way the police came off to the media immediately set the stage to make everyone look evil.
Yes. Yes. Immediately everybody bought into it. And you know that you and I talked, and we said, well, how do we attack this? How do we do this? And, you know, we're being had, we're being vilified. No, you know, nobody's there to carry the mantle for the other side. And, you know, that's when we decided that, hey, we've got to get involved. People have had their constitutional rights violated, and we're all about that. The lack of due process, you know, due process went out the window. And, you know, you talking about being bullied and being had, and you know, nobody was going to give a damn but us. It was going to take us to turn the tide. And of course, we knew this was going to be slow, because we had so much stacked against us, including a popular DA in McLennan County
that had been backed by the bikers in his first election.
Right. So I mean, so we came up with a plan. You know, we put together that first ride. And, you know, depending on who you talk to, you know, the media tried to talk it down like it wasn't many bikes there and stuff like that. You know, at its peak, we had about 700 motorcycles there. Is what we had.
We had a lot of bikes leaving from Arlington on that first wave. I remember the Arlington Police Department was there.
Yeah.
And they handled traffic for us to get all those motorcycles on the road.
Yeah, they did.
And I remember the news media was in helicopters following us down 35. And I remember HBO was filming the thing as it went. They even had one of their gals riding on the back of one of the bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the procession looked to be about 1.5 miles long from what I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And of course, the HBO thing was interesting. They followed us around for days, but they never used any of that film. They never did it because, you know, actually they were wanting us to get them interviews with either the Cossacks or the Banditos, and that just wasn't going to happen. That wasn't in the cards. It just wasn't going to happen at that point. At that point, lawyers had stepped in. And so wasn't going to happen. Not that we could even make it happen. We don't have those kind of connections. So anyway, so it was kind of ironic that they wasted all that time and didn't use the video, because it certainly would have been good and would have helped our cause, because people would see something other than what they've been told and what they've been led to believe. So we had to go do it ourselves. And not only did we have that first wave, we had them again and again and again, to the point we had about, I guess we ended at 6, right?
7.
Was it 7?
The last one, wave 6, I think we had more cops than we did people.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Now we knew all along that doing these waves one after the others spread apart, that it's, you know, we're not going to continue to get 700 motorcycles. We're not going to continue to get 500. We're not going to continue to get 300. And so eventually it goes down and down and down. But, we had our core, and that's all that matters. And Mel, we figured out really quick about the amount of money they were spending for security. And we used that to drain the budget. Because
every time we went down, they were barricading the street. They totally blocked off the street in front of the courthouse. There were sheriff's deputies all over the place. And I think the sheriff's department as much told me it was their job to keep us safe. I think they were worried that the Waco PD was looking for trouble.
Yeah. And
we'd have to agree with that, because I can remember one Waco squad car did their best to ram one of our prospects.
Yes. Actually, did happen. Now, at that point, we were pretty naive about things. We didn't know what it was going to be. We knew there was Homeland Security. There was all these different agencies, and guys running around with AR-15s and snipers hiding everywhere. Was really kind of interesting. But for the most part, the 1% clubs stayed away. Of course, we would have welcomed them. That's for sure. And I was asked several times, hey, what do you think would happen if we showed up? And I said, well, not a damn thing. You have a right to protest. You have a right to seek redress. There's no club that's banned from existing. None of them. And we have faith in our constitutional rights. I've done many of these damn protests. Never pulled a permit for one of them. Never. And wasn't about to pull a permit with McLennan County. Wasn't about to do it. Not that they didn't try. But we found ways around that. We brought our own damn electricity. So, that's how they get you. Well, if you're going to use anything at our facilities, there's going to be a charge. No, that's okay. We won't use it. The only place we pull permits at is there in front of the Capitol building. Because there's so much competition for everybody that's out there protesting in front of it. So, I don't know what it would be if we went down there and didn't pull a permit. Because it is your right to do so. Maybe we ought to test that one of these days. Just saying.
With about 1,000 people.
Yeah. But, so we did these rallies one after the other. We had one where we had many say it was a fake bomb scare. What was that? Number 3?
No, that was around 5 or
I think
4 or 5, I believe.
Yeah, it may have been 4. It was an anniversary of Twin Peaks, the first anniversary. And we were going to have a little kind of a ceremony. We'd actually hired a hearse to be there.
Actually, they've started reading the names of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we started reading the names of everybody that was killed, and also those that had been arrested, the innocent. And so we were in the process of doing that, and then all of a sudden, hey, you got to get everybody out of here. You got to get everybody out of here. there's an ice chest been left out there, and we don't know whose it is. Whose is it? Well, of course, being the good citizens we are, we asked anybody, whose ice chest is that? Whose is that? Nobody knew, and so we had to we had to comply for our own safety. Now, where that ice chest was at, probably not 30 yards away, there were restaurants. There were people walking by.
Yeah.
There were people strolling by. There were people that were. I couldn't get out there and get my car. I was there 4 hours.
Yeah, your car was parked next to
Yeah,
it.
because my car was parked next to the damn ice chest. Well, it turned out in the ice chest was some clothes and a bologna sandwich or something. I don't know what it was, but they said it belonged to a worker in the Alico building. I don't know. Sergeant Smith or Captain Smith, I think it's Captain Smith. He told me with the sheriff's department, he said, we're going to get blamed for this. I said, you're damn right you are. That's going to happen. Because we suspect that was a made up deal. Don't know for sure, but it happened.
And then the one after that, they chased the guy down that had a knife.
That's where they chased the Watermelon Man. Evidently, he'd gone to a farmer's market. They started holding a farmer's market there in the parking lot in front of the courthouse. And so evidently this black guy went over there and he went over into the farmer's market. I saw him pass us by. Then he came back through a while later and he had a knife in his hand. And this is when we had 12 sheriff deputies guarding an empty parking lot. Because there were only about 30 of us there that day.
Yeah.
We were outnumbered. We had the snipers up in the courthouse or hid behind the windows outnumbered us.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, here comes this guy walking by with a knife, butcher knife or something like that. I don't know. I mean, he just left the farmer's market. So they start yelling at him. Heck, he picks up the pace. They start yelling at him again. He starts running. And so he's hauling ass with this knife. And, at that time, people poured out of that building with AR-15s, with all kinds of rifles, all kinds of weapons. I guess that had been trained on us. They're chasing him down the street, and we're yelling, "Don't kill him! Don't kill him!" And eventually, they shot him with one of those beanbag guns. They shot him with a beanbag gun, and that didn't bring him down. Another police officer tackled him.
Yeah.
So who knows? We may have saved that guy's life. Just saying, because that is 6-shooter junction. And like I said yesterday, I do believe that. I do believe that to be true. There's a lot that goes on. And, I said yesterday that judicial system there is corrupt. Their for-profit jails are corrupt. Any place where there's a for-profit jail, the system is corrupted.
It's built into the contract.
That's right. And,
Literally built into the contract.
Yeah. You want to explain that to everybody real quick, how that works?
Sure. You get a group, be it city commissioners, county commissioners, or whatever the hell you want to call them, running a county or a state prison or a city jail. And someone comes up with a harebrained idea of, hey, we can run this cheaper by outsourcing it and letting a private company run the jail for us. And on paper, it looks reasonably well, because you're not dealing with civil service wages and benefits and all the crap that goes with it. So on paper, they could make it look pretty good. And In fact, as a person told me years ago when I was in the corporate world, they said, you know, when it comes to accounting, figures, let's see, it was something about figures lie, but something else doesn't. It'll come to mind. But at any rate, you can massage numbers to make them look any way you want when you're trying to get something on. The problem is that once they do that contract, what's written in the contract is it's the city or county, typically county, has to guarantee a certain occupancy rate at jail.
Right.
And when that occupancy rate is not met, then the county has to start reimbursing the public or the private entity that's running that institution X amount of dollars per day per unoccupied cell. And that can get pretty damned expensive. So guess what happens? The word comes down to the lower ranks, we got to fill this jail up. And we've heard lots of comments about how people will be thrown into jail in McLennan County. And, you know, they sit there for a long time. Well, there's a reason for that. And that's because they don't want to be paying for that occupancy rate being under a certain amount. Plus which there are certain bonuses paid to public officials based on the profitability, and not necessarily even the profitability, just based on the fact that there's a contract in existence. There was some talk at one time that the sheriff himself actually received a stipend from the
Yes.
From this stuff that was going on with the privately run prison system. So, you know, it's inherently written in to the contract for the whole system to be corrupt. Can't help themselves. It's corrupt from day one.
Exactly.
And thus, the problem with people getting thrown in jail and sitting there for a long time, or people being thrown into jail for very minor infractions.
You know, Mel, when we first started meeting with people there in Waco, McLennan County, they were talking about the amount of people that had been railroaded by that system down there. You know, but they had kids that had gotten caught at, you know, drunk driving or at a party or something, and then you know, I mean, then they were in that for-profit jail for quite a while without even any charges.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard one horror story after the other. And then not to mention the young ladies that had to deal with the police there. And we said, well, why don't you file a complaint? Why don't you do something? They said, hell, we've got to live here. They were actually scared to death of them.
Precisely right.
You know, Mel,
you know, yeah. I remember our first broadcast on Waco. We stood tall and we made certain claims that we were never called on.
Yeah.
Because they were true.
Mm-hmm.
Had those claims not been true, I have to believe Popeye people would have been all over us.
Oh yes.
We'd have been, they'd have examined every orifice on our body.
Oh yeah.
Over some of the stuff that we said in the beginning, like, you know, this was a law enforcement version of a St. Valentine's Day massacre. This was a setup and murder by law enforcement. Law enforcement instigated the whole thing, on and on and on. And, you know, as evidence started coming in and we found out that when they were running ballistics on the bodies, that everybody had a 1/4-inch hole in them, and it was center mass or headshot.
Yeah.
And they were riddled in the back, in the front, you name it. And then it comes to be that only 3 of the rifles were checked ballistically that were used
Yes.
by the police department. Chief of police claims they only fired a dozen or so rounds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the lies just went on and on and on. And, you know, all of this started to become disclosed. And I think some of the major undoing for Abel Reyna was when he put Jake Carrizo on trial.
Oh, yes.
Because Jake was stellar.
Yeah, he was.
They couldn't have picked somebody worse for the prosecution to go after.
Yeah.
On the basis of what they were going after him on. And that was a major undoing. And we told everybody at that point, we seriously doubt if, you know, there are going to be many trials involving the other side of this issue, that being the Cossacks, because they always went after the red and gold. And they Abel Reyna wanted to go after the red and gold because that was his ticket
Right.
to the governor's mansion.
Yeah.
You know, nobody, you know, the Cossacks don't have the public notability that the Banditos have, because the Banditos is a very large organization. And it's a club of a lot of great bikers, a lot of good guys.
Been around for a long time.
You bet. They've been here for a long time, and their colors actually coordinate with the Marine Corps because the guys that started the Banditos came out of the Marines. Very typical of all the MCs that were started across the country.
Mm.
They were started by GIs. But we had said, you know, they're not going to put any Cossacks on trial because now that starts to pull in the police department.
Yep.
The confidential informants, the fact that this whole thing was instigated by law enforcement through their CIs and through the Cossacks. A lot of people forgot about that live interview that was publicized by the president of the Cossacks,
Mm-hmm.
where he talked about a meeting with the Waco Police Department that was at least 2 weeks before the incident at Twin Peaks, where Waco PD wanted to know, are you ready? Well, ready for what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, pretty frickin' obvious what they were talking about. And he reassured them that they were ready for the meet at Twin Peaks. So, you know, that could not be brought to the public's eye, not in the court of law, because now it becomes very official on the record.
Right.
That coupled with the fact that the evidence at this point was so convoluted and tainted in so many areas that brings in the issue of the fruits of the poisonous tree. And that's a pretty famous, it's pretty famous in criminal law, where if anything is tainted, you know, or obtained illegally or not correct, that can corrupt the entire rest of the evidence that was obtained from that route. And we, you know, I had said here a couple months back when we were talking about, well, you know, it's down to 20 some odd cases now, what's going to happen? And we had said, you know, we're going to be surprised if there's any trials.
That's right.
At this point, because things have been so screwed up. How the hell can they bring anything to trial and have anyone believe anything?
You know, Mel,
And sure as hell.
when those special prosecutors were brought up and the statements they made, you know, they call Abel Reyna's attempt a harebrained idea. And, you know, I mean, that right there at that point pretty well told us there was going to be no further trials, because this had been screwed up so bad. And it's, you know, it's quite obvious that Abel Reyna's investigative skills are that of maybe a third grader. And I may be being generous there. You know, I mean, and it's the fact that, like Mr. Tittle brought up yesterday, that it took so long. He drugged that thing out so long, waiting for people to come take a plea bargain, waiting for people to come talk to him.
They were praying for it.
Yes. And, you know,
that was their only out.
I mean, the fact that he didn't move early and swiftly worked in our favor, worked in all the bikers that the innocent bikers that were arrested. It really worked in their favor. I mean, these guys could have been railroaded into prison. Could have been absolutely railroaded into prison. And there's no telling how many that's happened to in McLennan County of the ordinary citizens.
You know, there's another hero here that we haven't talked about yet, and that's Scooter Bergman.
Oh, yes.
Goes right along with what you're talking about, because, you know, the biggest out Abel Reyna had was the plea bargain. For these guys to plead guilty and plea bargain down to lesser charges.
Yeah.
And Scooter Bergman was hit with some pretty, I mean, gut-wrenching charges. We're talking capital murder.
Yeah.
You know, he could have spent a long time in prison, and they offered him a really pretty deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, it would have been very tempting. But, you know, Scooter's got a lot of morals about him. He definitely did not want to plead guilty to anything he wasn't guilty of to begin with. But, you know, most importantly, he's married. He needed to have his wife's support.
Yes.
In going forward, because whatever happened to him was going to happen to Judy. She'd have had a tough road to hoe with Scooter in prison for the rest of his life.
Yes.
And Judy stood right with him, shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to shoulder. And I think, you know, if Scooter would have buckled, that could have caused a big problem. That could have made some other guys think, well, shit, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
But because Scooter remained stalwart and didn't budge, that was just another nail in Abel's coffin.
Yeah.
Well, the special prosecutors that you were talking about, they brought them in. Why didn't they say something 2 years ago?
Well,
instead of waiting until now to say that it was a joke.
Were they brought in 2 years ago? And I don't think they'd been there that long, had they?
It's been a while. Well, since Barry Johnson was since Barry Johnson was voted in?
When Barry Johnson was campaigning to be the new DA, he made a campaign promise that if he were elected, once he were in office, he would appoint a special team to review and evaluate all of the cases that were on the books. Now, at that time, there were a hell of a lot more, but Abel Reyna and crew started dismissing before the election.
Right, but didn't Abel Reyna bring in some special prosecutors, though?
No, that's bullshit.
He didn't?
No. They were looking at cases. They were trying to cherry pick, figure out who was next, and they saw some big problems on the horizon, and that's when they started to dismiss, to try and diffuse what the hell was going on. but it was Johnson who upheld his campaign promise. No one ever asked Johnson to let these guys go. They asked Johnson to be fair and take a look, and that's what he did.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That is what we have seen happen now. Abel Reyna and that pitiful crew that he was running, on a lot of those dismissals, they weren't dismissed with prejudice. Okay? When they took it before the judge to be dismissed, they didn't stipulate with prejudice, which means those cases can be retried anytime downstream. They still got that thing hanging over their head. Because there was a lot of talk about that, how convoluted that was.
Right.
And I think that was his get even thing. Well, I'll do this, but it was the dog in the manger thing.
Yeah. Well, the attorneys I talked to, most of them thought that that was really unlikely to happen.
Yeah. I really think it won't happen. Now, Waco's got a real problem coming at them.
Yeah.
We talk about all the corruption that's still there.
Oh,
and
yes.
What might wake up the voters is all of these civil suits they're missiles in the air headed for Waco. And when those civil suits start hitting, and if you don't think the dismissal of all those charges isn't going to bear some weight in the outcome of those civil suits and the financial rewards, you got another thought coming, because it's going to be big.
Yeah.
The problem is we, the taxpayer of Texas, are going to end up bailing Waco out. I can only pray that the citizens of Waco finally wake up to the bullshit corruption and good old boy network they have going on down there, and vote every one of those incumbents the hell out of office and rename the city and get a fresh start.
Mel, I think we've been asked to write a book according to our perspective, and I don't know. We got a lot of irons in the fire. We may attempt a documentary or something that's we need
a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
That'll collaborate with us.
Yeah. But like I said, we are now, let me tell you a couple of quick things. We showed the connections between the DA's office and all those judges and all those people in a good old boy network there in McLennan County. We actually showed that. We were at a restaurant, Mel, one time when we brought all this stuff up to people, and they're going, "My God, we didn't know that was the case. We didn't know all these guys were connected to each other like that, and we didn't know that Baylor U is supplying us given a steady supply of these corrupt individuals." And so we were showing people through our methods that we used to get rid of Abel Reyna. We were showing people the truth of it all and how they're all connected and how people get railroaded. And so, that network is still there with the one piece missing, and that's Abel Reyna. And he was an evil individual, let me tell you. Anybody that's willing to send hundreds of innocent people to prison for up to 45 years is an evil person. And that's just a fact. And he's going to pay for his crimes one of these days in front of the Lord. But Mel, he's not the only one like that. We have stuff like that going on all across this state and all across the nation. I haven't met a prosecutor yet that I think is worth a damn, including ones I know.
All they think about are their stats and their reelection.
Exactly. And we brought up the fact that a prosecutor, a good prosecutor, would be as concerned about the innocent as they are about the guilty. You don't want to put anybody in jail that doesn't belong there. But yet, he had no problem with it. Therefore, we had a problem with him. So we put a plan in motion to get rid of him. And it worked. If anybody remembers our ads in the newspapers, well, think about that.
I still say those are some of the gutsiest work of art I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Still
That
can't
was.
believe the Waco Tribune let us run them.
I know it. I know it. They had a choice. They could have told us no.
Because it was pretty blatant, in your face. What you got is corrupt.
But you know, that shows you the power of money. And let me say one other thing too. You know, Jim Parks, he's not everybody's cup of tea, but let me tell you, Jim is a thorn in the side of the courthouse down there in Waco. He is a thorn in their side. They hate to see him coming. Probably worse than they hate to see me coming. But I mean, it was I don't want to say a funny thing to watch, but man, it was really interesting as hell. And he didn't mind getting in there and mixing it up with them at all. At all. Of course, he's a newsman, and he's looking for a story. And by God, you got to get in there and dig to get them. And he was certainly willing to do that down there at the courthouse, where they a lot of times put him in the basement or the attic. It was a good thing to watch. And it was, and there were certain points where we knew we had them. I mean, one of them, Mel, was when the sheriff's department asked us, why don't y'all go on over to the police department? Why don't you go over there? I mean, why are you guys here? You're winning. And once we have the sheriff's department tell us we're winning, oh man, that just poured fuel on the fire. Because when you have them saying that, the show's getting good. And then it's time to ratchet it up. It's exactly what we did. And it's exactly, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Los Parados MC, who was there to back us up every time, who got behind Barry Johnson. Let me tell you, they did great work. And the VFW in Elmont, or the American Legion, which one is this, American Legion or VFW?
I think it was
American Legion, I think. Yeah, because I'm always talking about that. One of the best American Legions I've ever seen. They got camper hookups. I'd take my RV down there. But I mean, it was, I
got to say, for whatever reason, the sheriff's department down there bent over backwards.
They did.
Especially in the beginning, to help us out. I don't exactly know why. I know they weren't involved in the Waco in the Twin Peaks incident.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Waco PD's deal, along with DPS and whoever else. I still can't figure out what the hell Homeland Security was doing down there the day you and I ran across them. But they were there, and maybe they got called in after the fact. But that sheriff's department kept things pretty level for quite a while, except for the last. I remember that last wave we ran.
Mhm.
The conversation I had with them down there was, and I could tell it was a great amount of reluctance on their part to do anything more. I think they were just out of money, and the word was out, hey, we can't do anything more, especially after they got smacked in the face with, 12 to 15 officers for a dozen bikes in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Well,
But it was, why are you guys doing this again? You got what you wanted. Why don't you protest in front of the Waco PD? They're the ones that deserve it anyway.
Well, let me say that we didn't get what we wanted until yesterday.
That's right.
We didn't
That's
get
right.
what we wanted till yesterday.
But
And
in their eyes, we did, man.
but we're still dealing now. We're dealing with the ramifications of Twin Peaks. We have law enforcement out there, profiling everybody, and and like that gang unit officer in Garland. These guys will use Twin Peaks as an example, even though it's quite the opposite of what they say or what they'll tell the public. All these outlaw motorcycle gangs, they're down there killing each other and all this other stuff, wasn't totally true in what they were saying. Yeah, there was a fight in the parking lot. Yeah, there was a fight. Yeah, but it was instigated by law enforcement itself. And we believe even the incidents up to that.
Well, we've been told that the Garland Police Department is one of a kind and really reeks of a six-shooter junction persona.
Yeah.
I mean, where in the hell does a law enforcement officer get off stopping a biker walking down the street back to the bike shop to get his bike, demanding to see his ID, and the biker, knowing his rights, saying, look, I haven't done anything wrong. I don't need to identify myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the officer looks him in the eye and says, look, if you don't want to identify yourself, that's fine, but I will sit here and I will wait for you to leave. I will follow you. I will stop you. And for any minor infraction, I will take you straight to jail.
This is the reason you need to take video when you have an encounter with a law enforcement officer. I don't care if you're a biker or not. You need to film what these people are saying to you, because they will railroad you. They will bully you into doing something you do not have to do. And that particular guy you're talking about was walking back to the motorcycle shop from McDonald's.
Yep.
Where he got something to eat. And this is to the point where we're fed up with it. That's the reason we're asking for videos. We're asking you guys to send this stuff in, videos, audios, whatever you have. Get it to us when this kind of stuff happens. You don't have to file a complaint. We'll do it for you. You don't have to ask for body cams. We'll do it for you. Because by God, it's time for it to be reeled in. It's gone beyond the scope, and it's gone beyond the scope because of what has happened in Twin Peaks. Them and their damn outlaw motorcycle gang stuff. Which they struggle to make the Bandidos and La Familia and anybody else. I think, the Cossacks, not the Cossacks, the kinfolk, they got honorable mention in what this last report. But I mean, they have to struggle to make them a tier 2 gang. And I'm going to have something to say about that when I'm down in Houston next week. I'm saving that for then.
Well, after Twin Peaks, they kept saying that the biker gangs have made threats against law enforcement.
Oh, yeah. That was another lie.
How often has that happened?
Yeah. That was another case of bullshit. Along with hey, bikers are coming to town. They robbed an armory. They did this. They did that. All of it lies.
But people believe it.
They do believe it.
I've got a sister that believes it.
We have to push back. We have to change the tide. We have to shine the light in the other direction. That's basically what we did in Waco. We turned the light back on them. Hey, these guys are lying. They're not telling you the truth.
Well, tell them. I mean, you know, the reason we're asking for all of this video and for dates and times and places from you so we can request video that was taken by the police officer on their body cam is so that we can archive all of this stuff. Because the last conversation we had with an attorney was in order to file a lawsuit. And everyone always likes to say, well, you need to sue the police department or you need to, you know, cause some kind of legal action. Well, that's easier said than done. You can trigger the legal action, but unless you have a preponderance, and I repeat, a preponderance of evidence that this is a common thing, you'll never get your case on. So that's what we're trying to do, is build up that archive so that we have all of that information so that eventually either we or if somebody out there wants to trigger a lawsuit, you've got the archive at your disposal.
Yes.
And that's what it's for.
Yeah. Well,
but you're not going to get crap on unless we have a preponderance of evidence. And verbal doesn't do it.
Right. Right. Mel, we've just scraped the surface of Twin Peaks. Just barely scraped the surface.
There's secrets in there that nobody will ever know because it's been buried.
Exactly. There's a reason there are no more trials. There were a reason that everybody was let off the hook, that where the cases were dropped against hundreds of bikers that they were trying to railroad into prison. And it's and we felt all along that that a lot of the testimony that was given in the one trial they had was those guys all of a sudden started having amnesia. They sounded like clowns. They didn't really seem to want to give anything up that might incriminate them. Of course, they had already been cleared, Mel. They had already been no bail. They rushed them in and had them no bail really quick and cleared them of any charges or any crimes. So that happened for them really fast. Law enforcement has that capability. It's the reason we talk about, the amount of crimes that happen within law enforcement or by law enforcement officers.
Yep.
People, public servants, whatever the right word is there for them. I mean, the amount of police officers that are charged with crimes across this country are in the thousands. They're guilty of more of the type crimes they describe as bikers being guilty of than all the clubs put together. Because if you listen to the DPS, you would think, oh my God, there's a crime going on every 5 minutes by these biker clubs out there. It's just not true. And there's no evidence to back that up. It's certainly not in the news. We would hear it every night if that was going on. There would never be an end to it. But yet we don't, because the ability of law enforcement to cover up their crimes and not report them. we don't even know what that true number is, do we, Mel?
No, we don't, because, like you say, the studies they've done have been an evaluation of only the cases they have been able to discover, which they figure is the tip of the iceberg because of the amount of corruption that is being covered up by law enforcement agencies throughout the country. The public will never know exactly what that number is on corruption of law enforcement officers throughout the country. But it's big. It's a big number.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, well, why is it different if law enforcement, there's good people in law enforcement. It's not all bad people, but the big difference between law enforcement and the rest of us is they take an oath to preserve the Constitution and to follow laws. And their buddy does something wrong, they don't report it.
Right.
That's just as bad or worse.
Yeah.
That's right.
We don't take that oath.
As a matter of fact, I guarantee you, if you, let's say you, geezer, are aware that your friend that lives 2 houses down from you has a grow operation going on in the basement of his house.
Right.
And he's got over 1,000 plants going. And he eventually gets arrested, and it comes to light that you knew about this all along and you never said anything to the Fed. They can arrest you and charge you for conspiracy for failure to turn that individual in, because you were aware of a crime that was being committed and you did nothing about it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they can do that all day long.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And you're right. They take an oath to protect and serve the public and to enforce the laws that are on the books. Not their own laws, the laws that are in effect. They're
That's
supposed
right.
to be enforcing those.
And to enforce the Constitution.
That's
right. Mel, well, I mean, and what I wrote an article the other day, and I talked about laws for them, laws for us. It's quite apparent that there's a 3-tiered system out there. The rich, the well-connected, government officials, police officers, and then you have immigrants who are also treated differently than the average American citizen. An
immigrant receives more benefits than somebody that's on Social Security.
Exactly.
An illegal, I should say, an illegal.
Yes. So there's
immigrant receives more benefits than you or I do on Social Security.
So there's a multi-tiered system out there, and we're in danger. The whole country's in danger. So we've got to continue to do what it is we do. Support the Constitution, defend those who's had their constitutional rights violated. There's no telling right now, I mean, the way things are, where we're going to be needed next. And right now we're needed over this motorcycle profiling that's going on in North Texas. We seem to be the epicenter of all the profiling that's going on. And it's like I said it to before the show started, when we were just talking to some of the audience people that logged on earlier. It's the fact that
as a matter of fact, last night we were on the phone with our national call to all of our chapters, and in 4 other states we had chapters telling us they don't have the problem there that we have in North Texas.
Right. Exactly.
including our Houston chapter.
Yes. And what we're going to do, we're going to face it head on. And if we need to hold a rally somewhere and seek redress, we'll do just that. And it may be in one of these front of these city halls. It may be at a VFW. It may be, in front of a courthouse, like there in Ellis County. I was looking at the courtyard there yesterday. It's a fine place to hold a rally.
Block up a lot of traffic.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to do what we need to do to shine the light on what's going on, and the fact that they're overreacting because we have a governor that is putting out the word, hey, get them all into my database. Get everybody into my database if they look like a gang member. Well, what does a gang member look like? I'm just saying. There's no motorcycle club out there that is a street gang. They're just not. Period. But we'll continue to fight. And Mel, we're going on an hour and 16 minutes. We could probably go another hour talking about all this stuff.
Well, we got to save something for the next show.
Yeah. And there'll be something else. I'm telling the people, all the people at All for One, hang on. This isn't done yet. Like I said, we have ramifications coming out of Waco. We've got trials. We've got civil trials that are coming up. Going to be interesting as hell. This is going to get really good. So hang in there with us. And if you got something going on in your state, let us know about it. And so with that, Mel, you got anything you want to end with?
No, I'm good. I'm talked out.
Geezer, man, a few words.
I'm good. Let's keep pushing back.
There you go. And we'll be doing that.
If they're afraid to pull us over, we'll keep on pushing.
That's right.
They get tired of it.
That's right. Mel Geezer said he's got a theory that these police officers are recognizing me, so therefore they're staying away from us. You buy that?
Could be.
I have a hard time with that one, man. Oh, there's Popeye. Let's leave him alone. We don't want to look like a butt on a YouTube video.
That's right.
Yeah.
like that gang officer out of Garland.
They don't want to look like Abel Reyna either.
Oh, they damn sure don't want to look like Abel Reyna. Matter of fact is, we made him cry.
They could very well be recognizing the patch.
That's right. And so, but we'll continue. Like I said yesterday, it will happen. Somebody's going to take the plunge. And we'll go live when it happens. We're ready. We had the cameras ready yesterday. With that, everybody, have a great evening and
Good
ride
night.
safe. Bye-bye.